Good morning, everybody. I hope people are staying warm. Before we start today's episode, I just wanted to mention what's going on in Texas. For those of you who don't know, Texas is near and dear to my heart. It's a second home to me, and they were hit by a freak snowstorm on Tuesday and got inches of snow, and cold, minus 18 wind chills for Texas. They are not used to that. The excessive snow and cold has knocked out power. I have friends that have had power on and off for days, and some families that haven't had power now going on for 2 days. So the situation there is dire, and just keep Texas and my friends down there in your thoughts and prayers today, because they're wonderful people that we've met through the human connection and travel. So with that, I want to introduce my guest. Crystal Kaufman is a travel agent with Travel Chicks and founder of Step by Step Business Solutions, where we take care of the tech so you can be your best. So thanks for joining me today, Crystal.
Thanks for having me, Charlotte. I'm really happy to be here. And yes, my well wishes go out to Texas. I couldn't imagine being without power and heat right now.
I know, and especially they're not used to it. You know, it's a fear of mine. I'm not a fearful person, but a fear I have is the power going out and freezing to death. And that's a fear we have in Canada, but Texas, I mean, it's just not something they think about, right?
No.
Yeah, so I've been in contact back and forth through the day while I have internet and don't have internet, and just keeping on top of what they're doing. So
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Hoping everything goes well soon.
Yeah. So tell us about Travel Chicks and who you serve.
Absolutely. So Travel Chicks, it's all about creating life-changing moments. And we do that through travel. Honestly, we believe that travel transforms, inspires, and develops a deeper relationships, not only with the people you're traveling with, but those you connect with amongst your travel and with themselves. So our mission is helping solo and single females find friends to take epic trips with and to travel the globe safely right now. It is a little different right now. Lastly, each agent is a little unique in what they specialize in, but really it's all about using travel to transform. So I personally specialize in leading speakers, authors, coaches, how to 10 times their business using retreats, masterminds, and then the boss babes, how to experience their bucket list items. So yeah, that's just a little taste of what Travel Chicks is all about.
Awesome. That kind of falls into my wheelhouse too, with being an author. I may have to arrange a retreat with you.
Exciting.
That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you've mentioned that everybody kind of specializes in a certain little thing, and you are known as the conscious travel chick. So what does that mean?
Well, I love what Travel Chick stands for, and the fact that we transform and inspire, and that really speaks to it a lot. Personal development and a connection to my higher power of my understanding is the foundation of everything I do. It's in business, it's in personal, it's in everything in my life. And really, consciousness refers to like my personal thoughts, my personal awareness, my awareness of my unique thoughts, memories, feelings, sensations, the environment. So to me, essentially, consciousness is awareness of myself and the world around me. So when I travel, I truly love to connect to the environment, the culture, the scenery, the experience of what it would feel like to like live there. What does it feel like for the locals? I experience everything with all of my senses. And to me, that's what consciousness is. So what does it look like? Like really taking in all of the architecture, the buildings, the streets, how are things constructed? The people, the locals, what does everything look like? What does it sound like? What does the ocean really sound like? What does their traffic sound like? What are their streets sound like? What are the people talking about? You know, what does it smell like? I love smelling the ocean. I mean, it sound weird, but
No, that's not weird. That's not weird. As soon as you said sound, I immediately thought, oh, and smell. You have to smell the ocean because it's a totally different smell.
It is. And
Mhm.
just, it smells in the room, and you can smell that. And as soon as I smell that smell, I'm like, oh, I know I'm by the ocean, and like, what does it feel like? What does it feel like energetically to be there? What's the buzz around? And what does it taste like? Everything about travel is all about, definitely food is a big factor. I mean, I'm a big North American girl for my food, but I love to experience what is it like for them? What do they eat every day? Just there's so many things to explore beyond just let's go to the beach. And to me, that's all about consciousness. So
Mhm.
I do it for myself. And when I help clients plan their retreats or their vacations, we do that for them as well and bring those experiences for them.
Yeah, that's so true. And I like how you mentioned to wonder what it's like to live there. And I know with every time we go somewhere new, that's the first question we ask ourselves. Would we be able to live here?
Mhm.
Would we be able to live here?
Mhm.
And yeah, and going back to the ocean, the sound of the ocean, I love the sound of the ocean. It's a toss up for me between mountain view, ocean view. They're both totally different, but both beautiful. And I know when we drove up the California coast last year, we got out one place at the ocean and it actually smelled like coconuts.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that was a different ocean smell, but it was amazing.
Yeah. Did you travel up and do like by the first castle and stuff in between San Diego and LA?
We didn't go to San Diego. We were driving back from Texas
Oh,
because
okay.
we
Beautiful.
stayed in Texas for 4 months last year. So we did a road trip down. And
Mhm.
then when we came back, we spent 13 days driving back up. So we drove through like Texas and then headed to California and up. It was just before, a little bit before San Francisco. Like there was Monterey, Carmel by the Sea. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous.
Absolutely. You can just, it's like mesmerizing to me. It's like that and campfire. I just get
Yeah.
lost in the stare. I just,
Yeah.
oh, hours can
Hmm.
go by and I'm just staring and soaking it all in.
While we were there too, I said, I can see why people would just get in a van or a motorhome and just drive up and down the California coast, and that's their life. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. I
yeah,
don't blame them.
beautiful,
Yep.
beautiful. So you are the custom group and travel event expert. Tell us how planning group travel has impacted your life and the lives of your clients.
Wow. Good question. Honestly, to me, group travel is all about connection, and connection is honestly, it's the key to human survival,
Mhm.
in my opinion. And it's the key to your connecting with yourself, to others. It is one of the biggest thing that's missing right now. And so group travel was always about that to me. Planning group travel has given me the opportunity to create experiences for several people to come together, to connect like-minded people together. It just brings me such joy to watch
Mhm.
how travel can truly change lives, and honestly the trajectory of their businesses and their life. Honestly, like I've seen businesses just thrive and flourish after that because they're in their elements and they're connecting to people like no other method has ever helped them before. And it's honestly like watching people's dreams come true, and that gives me such joy. As long as well as I'm kind of a strong controller and a planner. So I love handling all the little details, and it gives me joy to do that. Funny enough.
Mhm.
Um, but I just love it when people say, everything went so smoothly. And I was just able to focus and just immerse myself in the experience. So it brings me joy when they have that experience, and just for them to be in their own power and in their own joy. So I mean, I do it for them, but it's also a really fulfilling thing to do it for me as well. And a lot of time I get to go with them and, be a part of it and watch it firsthand. So it really is transformational.
That's exciting. I'm
Mhm.
I'm planning a group for Germany in 2022 to include the Oberammergau Passion Plays. So that will be my first time leading a group. So I'm excited about it, and to be with the people to experience that. And some people, that haven't been there, and to be with them the first time they see the country, I'm really excited to show Germany to people who haven't seen it before.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
lean on you as somebody of knowledge, and they rely on you, that they know you're going to guide them to the right places or see the right things. And I love that. I love knowing that I just can't wait to see their faces sometimes when
Mhm.
we plan something and then it's here it is, and they're like, oh my God, that was so amazing. So yeah, it brings me a lot of joy.
Cool. So you've been traveling since you were 15, and you've been to 15 different countries.
Mhm.
So over those, what's a transformational travel moment that you have had on your travels?
Wow. Oh boy. So many, and each
One.
one, I know it's hard because each one just has this experience. Probably Bali has been my top. I got to go there for just under a month, and you know, I got to be entirely selfish, and I don't often get to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
I got to hang up like all my hats: my businesswoman, my agent, my mom, spouse, supporter, friend, all those things. And I just got to be there and just be. And
Mm-hmm.
I visited temples and homes of locals and just got to truly connect to not only locals, but me, my higher power. And I just felt such a deep appreciation for honestly how spoiled, lucky, and privileged I live in North America. And
Mm-hmm.
I visit the country and I look, and in my eyes, it feels like poverty. Like there's literally, as we're driving, a man bathing in the rainwater gutter along the streets. But what was profound to me, I was like, oh my God, look at that. Like, and people's beds are literally like a slab of concrete or a wood pallet.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's horrible. And they think they're the most luckiest people and the most fortunate people in the entire world. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
really hit me that it's all a matter of perspective. And I think one of the most profound things that stuck with me is that as we were driving, I had a driver taking us, and I like to talk to the drivers, the locals, and I said, you're so lucky. It was amazing. You had Julia Roberts come there and film Eat, Pray, Love. Like, how cool was that? And he says, Crystal, this Julia Roberts is no more exciting or special than you coming here. We love all people, and all
Yeah.
people are special, and we're just as blessed to have you. And it's just like, it just hit me because, yeah, we put certain people up on pedestals, but
Mm-hmm.
they just truly cherish and love everybody. And it just, I felt so like spoiled, like just
Yeah.
privileged. And there's a bell that I wanted, and because I collect bells, and
Oh.
and this the guy who was selling it to me, it was a very special bell. It was used in ceremony, and it was hard for him to sell it, and he asked for $150. And I said, what is $150 to you? And it fed his family, it paid his rent, it provided fuel in his vehicle. It's how they could live for a month. And I just like, it's just so profound. So some people, and they're grateful for that. Like, they're grateful. So sometimes I feel like I have first world problems. So it put a lot of things into perspective.
Yeah, and it's a simplicity of life too that we don't have in North America.
Mhm.
Um, we've been looking a lot at Ecuador and different countries and costs of living in different places. And in Ecuador, 400 US dollars a month is considered what you can live on. And that's, that is the basic, that you're not going to have wonderful conditions, but a family can survive on 400 US dollars a month. And there's no way a family could survive in Canada on that.
And they're
There's no way.
grateful for it.
Yes, they appreciate it. Yes. Yeah.
For it. It's mind blowing how here, $400, and a lot of people would be depressed and upset and miserable, and it's tough. And
Mhm.
yet they're grateful for the air that they breathe, and the little crumbs of food that they get, the house, the concrete slab that they get to sleep on. And so it's just a totally different mindset, and it was a wake-up call.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's the power of travel. It's so educational, and really makes you see your country, your home country, in a different light.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mhm. So what is your ultimate bucket list destination?
Ooh. I have such a big list. And every time I take one off, I add 5 more. So I'm a big scuba diver, and
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Oh,
it's been one of my dreams to dive in Egypt, as it's known for some of the most amazing shipwrecks there. And
wow.
shipwrecks are amazing. I was in Bali. I got to experience a few
Wow.
shipwrecks, and I found it more intriguing than some of the coral and fish. And it's just because I think it had a life. It has a story and a life.
Mhm.
And I just kind of imagine being on the ship and think of like Titanic. Of course, it's not like Titanic, but I mean, there people were on it. Something happened on
Yeah.
that ship that made it sink, and Egypt is known for its shipwrecks. So I think that
That's
would be.
that's super interesting. I did not know that.
Mhm.
As soon as you said diving, the first thing that came to mind for me was Belize,
Yeah, yeah,
not Egypt. So do you find people are kind of shocked when you say, I want to go diving in Egypt?
yeah, yeah, because it is not anybody else's top.
No.
Um, and such an ocean girl. My cup gets filled there. So every time I go anywhere tropical, I do scuba dive.
Mhm.
So I've seen a lot of different things in a lot of different places, and huge Monterey's and sharks and turtles and eels and all kinds of things. But I just believe the shipwrecks, I don't know, they just hit me harder. There's just something about them. And I do believe it's the story. I kind of like, what was it like? Like, I'm trying to picture in my mind, like, what was it like as it actually the ship went down, and what did they experience? I hope nobody got killed in that. And yeah, it's people are a little shocked, just to say.
Yeah,
The
that
ex-boyfriend
sounds
was like, I'm never going there. I'm like, okay, it's okay.
that's interesting because we've been to Egypt and that diving didn't even come across the radar. But your form of diving sounds like something that I would thoroughly enjoy too, because when we travel, historical sites are at the top of our list, visiting the historical sites. And when I walk down the streets in Europe, and it's like what you say with the shipwrecks, I picture myself back in medieval times and what was it like on these streets in medieval times. And the plague went through here, and these buildings are still the same buildings, and people still live in those homes. And here, when a home is 100 years old, it's old, and most of the time gets torn down,
Right. Hmm.
and it, for me, that is just mind blowing when I have those experiences.
I agree. And those buildings have withstand the test of time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like, our buildings, like, they're decrepit, like you said, they're being
Mhm.
tore down, and they're hundreds of years old. And I look at the architecture and I'm just stunned with, how did they do that? Like, how did they get the stones up there? How I think of technology then as compared to now, and just mind blown. So even some of the ships, like, I'm just shocked at some of the creations that we've had. And most of them, why that's such a huge place for shipwrecks in Egypt, is because they're underwater. There's this big cliff, and it goes out quite far, and then a huge drop. And a lot of the ships would come in, and they didn't know about it, and they would hit this ridge
Oh,
underwater
okay.
and then drop down. So there's like a whole bunch of ships in this culvert of to explore that had never made it past that ridge there.
Is this by Alexandria? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'd
that's
have to.
interesting. I'm going to look more into that. That's fascinating. So you traveled to Mexico in December before the second round of lockdowns happened. What was that travel experience like for you?
Oh, it was an experience. I am super, super grateful to go. I'm by no means a rule breaker, or like kind of like screw you rules, government. But I just felt like there was a way that we could still travel and respect the times, the rules, COVID, everything like that. So it was actually a very eye-opening experience. I am so impressed with the measures that airports have taken airports, the airplanes, the flight attendants, the procedures in place now, the taxi drivers, the hotels, the restaurants, everything was impeccable with the way they've pivoted to ensure safety for others. And I was very impressed with the procedures, and I documented the whole thing and put it on my Facebook because I just wanted to show what it was like compared to the perception of what it was like out there. And it was very eye-opening how extremely safe I felt, and safer on some of these experiences than I did preparing to leave in my hometown or my home city beforehand. But being there, the hotels just do such a great job, and our hotel specifically had the Crystal standard. Like, I wish I could take credit for that. It's not like my standard, but they had the
named
Crystal
it after you.
They named it after
She's
me.
coming. She's coming. We have to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Crystal standard, and that's the highest level of standard in the hospitality industry of procedures that they follow. So, resorts were at a minimum, and I must say it was really refreshing to do it when there was limited capacity. The hustle and bustle just didn't feel there. I felt completely safe. It was amazing to be on the beach without a mask because there wasn't anybody within, I'd say, 30 feet of me. It really transformed where I was at that point, because business has been absolutely crazy and life has been crazy this last year. And though it wasn't essential, it felt mentally essential. And I was like on the verge of a breakdown, and it was just the thing that helped get through. And I'm very grateful that I went, and I tossed and turned about it, I must admit. I think I booked the final details 5 days beforehand. And I said, you know what, I'm doing this. We weighed out all the pros and cons, my family and I, and felt it was okay to go. And it showed that we could still follow the rules and still enjoy ourselves. It felt really, honestly, no different than being at home. Like, you wear a mask to go in a restaurant, you wear a mask until you're seated and take it off. So it's the same thing there. So I just have to really give a shout out to how huge the travel and tourism industry has shifted and pivoted, and probably the best policy I've seen anywhere. Like, compared to any grocery store or restaurant, anything. It's just incredible to see the measures they have taken to protect people. So when rules do relax again, after April, because we're speaking from Canada.
Yes.
So when our rules relax again in April, I hope that people can take advantage of some of the travel.
Yes, I agree. And I know how you touched on the mental benefit that your trip was. And I've had people say to me, they want to travel so bad because getting away and getting into the sun from being in the cold in the winter is better for their mental health than any prescription that they could possibly take. Yeah, so
100%. I mean, a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, said, "Oh, don't go. Like, I have visions of you being really sick, and I can see either you're in the hospital or you're in the bed really sick." And she's like, "I can't quite make it out, but I just see you're really, really sick." And I really let that scare me. And then, just days before, like I said, 5 days before, I said, you know what? That's my bed here at home if I don't go. And what is necessary in this day and age? I'm not sure any of us can answer that. Can we answer that? So it felt necessary to me. And like I said, I followed every possible rule. I didn't put anybody in danger. Even when I came home, we did the rapid testing, and yet still I quarantined just to be on the safe side and make sure. And I I'm really grateful that I did. I wouldn't take it back for a second.
Mm-hmm. My friend in England who's watching says she's like a plant, she needs sunshine.
Yes, exactly. I could just sit there.
It just recharges your batteries, I tell you. Like,
Mhm.
and we have been graced with a mild winter in Canada this year. So thankfully, we have been able to, except for the last 2 weeks that we've had a major cold snap, but we have been able to get out and go for walks. Otherwise, I seriously don't know what my mental state would be either.
Yes,
So,
I agree with you.
yeah. So leaving off with that, in conversations I've had with you, you always say it's important that we give ourselves grace.
Mm.
So what grace can you give us today to help us through these difficult times?
Charlotte, I think really it's about find yourself some joy. Um, Everything has changed so much, and we have to be willing to change too. So normal
Mhm.
coping methods and ways of life aren't the same anymore. And the more we focus on that or more in that or feel paralyzed that, and the more depressing it's going to feel. So many complain like before all of this crazy time, if only I had the time to do this, or next time I have that, or I wish I could do this. Well, now's your time to do that.
Mhm.
Find joy in little things. Take time, like quality time, to be with your kids. Be open to new things. Think of possibilities of what you can't do. What can you do?
Exactly.
Marie Forleo really says it best, and I really adopt to it. Everything is figure outable. And for me, travel is a lot about connection and rejuvenation. And so, what other ways can you do that? And it might not be in travel right now, but there are ways that we can reach some of those experiences. And if you can't figure it out, because some of us sometimes are blocked, reach out, ask other people, post it on social media, be curious, be open. It's just time to start thinking of possibilities. And,
Mhm.
the last thing I can say is that I've just witnessed a lot of people are on a short fuse, really short fuse, and times have been tough. And I think some people are a little more depressed and then more than they understand or know, or don't want
Mhm.
to admit. We've had one hell of a year. So honestly, be kind, spread that stuff everywhere, spread it like a boomerang. The more you do, the more it comes back to you. And just God knows the world needs a little bit more of that right now.
Yes. And just because we're in the times we're in does not mean you can't think about travel. It doesn't mean you can't talk about travel. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't look at travel. It's just doing those things I know is good for my own mind. So travel
Yes.
will come back. Keep your travel dreams alive. And like you said, let's focus on what we can do instead of what we can't do.
Yes. Get
Yeah.
excited for the summer. Get excited for things that are coming up.
Mhm.
Research has shown that people that engage in planning and getting excited for it gives them something to look forward to. So instead of focusing on, oh, I'll never get to, and it's just focusing on the negative side of it or the what we can't, figure out what you can. So, for example, this summer, the girls and I, or the families and I, we're going to go to probably British Columbia and do a camping trip or some sort of experience like with jet skis or renting a boat or something like that. Um, the $3,000 I would normally spend in Mexico or whatever destination, we're going to put right into our local economy and find ways to connect with friends and family here.
That's right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on Case for Travels Tuesdays today, Crystal. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. It's been great. So enjoy your day, stay warm, and yeah,
You as well.
we'll talk
Thanks,
to you
Charlotte.
again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.